fact, let's pick up the discussion forward. We've got Chakri Lokapriya joining it on the show right now. Chakri, hi, good morning. Let's start off with your thoughts on Pharma. Moved up already this year so far, but do you think there are further tailwinds in store, in place for the Pharma sector, and anything that you may like from this particular sector?
Good morning. If you look at the pharma sector, it's a tale of two cities of export and domestic. Then as far as exports, the API has seen a lot of traction in terms of product innovation of Indian companies. And that is kind of reflected in the higher valuation. And that's a trend which is likely to continue. On the other hand, companies like Dr. Reddy's, they have individual products which are doing all right. And that will takes care of development. They take their sales through for maybe the next couple of years. And as far as the US price erosion is unlikely because, the price negotiations happen January, February calendar of each year. And so until then, there is some kind of a support. So I think Dr. Reddy and Lupin is looking good.
Okay, fair enough. That's within the entire pharma space. But we were also, Chakri, this morning on discussing what's happening within real estate. And it's an interesting strategy note as well that has come out this morning. What's your outlook on the kind of investor interest? Are there preferred plays? Because there has been a heady run-up within real estate.
Yeah, indeed. The real estate has actually run up. The valuations of all the companies, majority of the companies, are not cheap anymore. The only saving grace is as and when the interest rates in India start being cut on because India will inevitably follow the US rate cycle, and at that point 90% of all loans, home loans in India, are floating rate loans, and so that will propel. So then the companies like maybe Shobha, Prestige, and Godrej will do it.
Chakri, let's also understand your take. We, have been talking about as well what our experts are alluding to when it comes to the entire PSU space. So Chakri, just wanted to get in your take. Would you be playing the PSU basket in a very stock-specific way versus the entire basket?
PSUs, if you look at the PSU banks are clearly still on a very strong footing. Clearly, now once the interest rate cycle, which will begin very shortly in India too, all the net interest margins of all the PSU banks will improve faster. The loan growth rate will pick up faster, and the corporate spend, which has been dormant. So these will be the primary beneficiaries. So Canara Bank, State Bank of India would be the number one picks. As far as the other PSU sectors, like, I think probably railways is situated better than defense.
Okay, that's the take coming in on PSUs right now. But Chakri, what about the underperformance in banks? We were just taking stock as to how the Nifty and the other benchmarks are barely under 0.5% away from their all-time highs. That's not quite the case with the Nifty banks, still lower by a good 4% right now. Do you think banks finally will participate in this leg of the uptick?
It's been a very peculiar case this time around. If you look at the private sector banks, HDFC has its merger-related issues. Axis Bank has, some amount of internal slowdown within its bank. So these are all company-specific issues, nothing to do with the industry. Kotak, on the other hand, is the most expensive bank. So how much more will it re-rate from about 5 times book? So I think, therefore, them taking the Nifty higher has been a tough task this time around. And so therefore, you will need to see a faster these companies taking greater market share, which is unlikely to happen for the next couple of quarters at least. So I think, the frontline banks will continue to be on the sidelines.
All right. Meantime, Chakri, just taking a look at the kind of, newsmakers that we have and a lot of recent listings as well that we have seen take place. What have you made? Has anything really caught your eye, in the last couple of months or the last 6 months or so with the kind of listings that we've seen?
Ola Electric, I guess, has come and gone. Its valuation, is right out there, so clearly can't buy it now. Now, there is this new solar company, which is, I think, Premier, which was which does both cell manufacturing as well as module manufacturing. And it's significantly expanding its capacities, I think doubling from 2 to 4 gigawatts and modules as well as in cells. So I think this company, this is a largely growing space. The margins are okay, and I think among the IPOs, Premier is well positioned.
Next is power, and here's where there was a lot of excitement, Chakri. It is not that India is not consuming power, but the excitement from power stocks has gone.
Power clearly will continue to do really well. If you look at the power demand, the gigawatt capacity that India is going to add over the next 5 years is more than the combined power in usage in the entire European Union. So that's the scale of activity that companies will need to add, and NTPC will clearly lead the whole effort. Being it's be a PSU bank, it has a PSU company, it has a natural advantages getting government clearances. Then the combination of both term, and India has to sign up for the term for this environment regulation thing only in 2070. So which means another 30 years thermal companies can add capacities in India. So which means a combination of both so renewable as well as thermal power will clearly do well. Maybe they'll pause, but I think the secular growth is still there in NTPC, the power grid, Sterling Wilson, Suzlon, name it. Across the board, there is a huge amount of growth.
Okay, 414 rupees for NTPC. Just imagine it was like a dog of a stock. Nobody liked it. Nobody owned it. Everybody said, okay, it's expensive. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Chakri, you just briefly mentioned Ola has come and gone. Has Ola come and gone really? I mean, is it a stock which is here to stay? Can it do what Zomato did? Can it do what a Paytm did?
What I meant in terms of is the valuation. The company is clearly, a valuable player in the electric vehicle space. If you notice in the last couple of years, its market share is probably about 12-13%. And in this last couple of years, Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors have increased their market share in the electric vehicle space. So this seesaw will continue over the next few years until Ola establishes itself. Its valuation, on the other hand, is at least 4 times that of TVS Motors, and it's at least 3 times over that of its regional other electric companies. So until it catches up, the valuation-wise, the stock is likely to tread water. And in terms of, yes, it has cell manufacturing too, which will help its valuations, but that's again a couple of years later story.
Now let's look at another theme which is a roaring theme, and that is pharma. Now within pharma, the index may be at a multi-month high, but within pharma, what is interesting here is that you've got branded generics, you've got generics, you've got Indian focused companies like a MKor or a Alembic, to some extent Mankind. That's one basket. Second are pure US generics, Aurobindo, DVs. These are companies which are pure US, only get business from US. Then are the third ones, which are mix. Sun, Lupin, Torrent. They have a large sizable business which comes from the domestic business. So you really have to look at a lot of factors here which are at play in terms of the pharmaceutical here. Which end of the pharma chain, Chakri, you would like to pick up?
I think clearly, from our perspective, I think we'll continue to look at, companies which have a bigger exposure to the US. That's the largest market, healthcare market in the world by multiple times. And therefore, whether it's generics or increasingly even APIs, in spite of all, the price erosion is like a perennial factor that will continue to happen. And so it all depends upon companies' innovation and the exclusivity periods that they get. So against this backdrop, I think, election year and all that, once the new government is in place in the US early next year, then again, the emphasis on healthcare will improve. So I think US pharma companies, Indian companies catering to the US market will continue to be of importance.
The newsmakers that we'll be watching out for, and it's a lot of mid-cap names as well. GPT Infra, it's a 200 crore rupee QIP that they have launched. You also had something like Seagull India that came out with their quarterly performance. Revenue growth has been witnessed. EBITDA margins have also expanded to come in at about 17.5%. And we'll be watching out as well for HUL. There's been a tax demand about 963 crore rupees that has been received from the IT department. So that as well is going to keep the stock in the spotlight in trade today. And wondering where you stand, Chakri, when it comes to the entire FMCG basket.
FMCG clearly, the weakness continues to persist, and including the latest data show that the volumes have still not yet picked up. Hopefully, as we go towards the festive season in a couple of months, maybe things will start. But just wait and watch approach. I think nothing new, nothing incremental that we're buying in FMCG.
Should we, Chakri, extend that question to you as well? Mid-cap recommendations, what it is that you will be looking at as some of the top views for the long haul or top stocks?
Tata Elxsi has corrected quite significantly. Now it will benefit from the IT tailwinds. And the manufacturing segment, the IT end of the manufacturing segment will pick up really fast. And therefore, I think Tata Elxsi will be one of the good beneficiaries.
Thank you, Chakri, for joining in. Good to have you as always on board. We'll